Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Nick Morganelli. A local grandmother spends a lot of time in this backyard with her grandkids, and now she's written a book. I'll introduce you to author Peggy Weber.
And we'll take you to the long-awaited groundbreaking for the new Harmony House, a model home for individuals with terminal illnesses. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel on this third weekend of Advent, a Sunday dedicated to hopeful anticipation. And that also sums up the spirit of Harmony House, a model home for individuals with terminal illness, which recently announced that after a 4-year wait, renovation work will finally start on its new permanent home in Chicopee. Steve Kiltonick went to the dedication and spoke with the organization's founder and inspiration, Ruth Willimane.
On a frigid December 5th afternoon, friends, volunteers, and supporters of Harmony House gathered at 66 View Street in Chicopee to celebrate the dedication of its new permanent home.
We come before you today to bless this home and this land as a place of peace that will offer love and care for those whose journey of life is coming to an end.
Ruth Willimane, the founder of Harmony House, attended along with the mayor of Chicopee, Richard Koss, and State Senator Don Humison of Westfield, who helped secure state funding for the project. All participated in the traditional groundbreaking ceremony, which signified that the renovation of the building will now begin. Harmony House is a local nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide a loving home environment with a compassionate care for the terminally ill. It reflects the dream of Willimane, a former hospice volunteer who established Harmony House in 2017. For years, her vision was to build a permanent home for those who have no resources for special care in their final stages of life, focusing on those who live alone, lack a capable caregiver, are homeless, or a veteran. Wearing a hard hat with Harmony House's logo, a trillium flower, Ruth was overjoyed knowing that the renovation of the View Street home is finally going to begin after a 4-year wait.
Just thoughts of joy, gratitude after waiting so long for this day to happen. I'm just so grateful to God for letting me live long enough to see it after waiting 15 years for this, and I have all these people around me rejoicing.
For the past 2 years, Harmony House was temporarily located at a 3-room ranch home on Pendleton Street in Chicopee. Here, 24-hour personal care was provided for its residents by trained volunteers, including licensed nurses, caregivers, companions, and others who provided the emotional and physical support for residents. The new home will have all that and more.
It's going to have a sense of security and lots of love, and a place that the residents will be happy to call home.
Gur Ronan, the founder of YANKEE Home Improvement, heads up Harmony House's building committee.
Ruth is this incredibly inspirational person, just incredibly inspirational. When every patient is ready to pass, she will be there at the moment of passing to hold their hand and offer them comfort. And that just struck me. I asked her, point blank, I said, does it wear you down being around that much death? And she immediately pushed back and said, this is what I do. This is my calling. This is what God wants me to do. And it was just so powerful. She's just even though she's a small frame, little woman, but she's just way stronger than any of the burly contractors that I work with on a daily basis. Incredible strength.
The new Harmony House sits on 2.5 acres at the end of a quiet, dead-end street. It was originally purchased as a foreclosed property in October 2015, but because of extensive renovations and legal issues, work was delayed until September 2017, when demolition started. When finished, the house will include 5 bedrooms, shared bathrooms, a large kitchen and common dining room, living room, laundry area, and room for families of the residents. A much-needed chapel is also in the plans.
With Father Dan's help, it's going to be a beautiful place for meditation, for anyone who just wants some peace and quiet.
The exterior will eventually feature a tranquility walkway and raised gardens of flowers and vegetables. Ronan said many companies, including his own, are donating materials, including windows, doors, and roofing supplies.
And watching a community come together, it's incredibly heartwarming to see people just stepping up, competitors of mine sometimes, just stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll pitch in.
Once open, even more volunteers will be needed, such as CNAs and LPNs, along with those willing to help with companionship, cooking, yard work, and clerical work.
My birthday's in March, and I'm hoping for my 85th birthday, the house will be complete or near completion.
Thus far, over 30 residents have benefited from the compassionate care of Harmony House and its volunteers. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
We have more information on Harmony House for you. Head over to iobserve.org for a link. And Harmony House is just one of the 40 agencies and services benefiting each year from funding from the annual Catholic Appeal of the Diocese of Springfield. This year's agencies were awarded their grants in late October. Here to give us an update on the appeal is Kathy Harrington, Appeal Manager. Hi Kathy, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Sharon. It's a pleasure.
And as we just saw on the first story today, we have agencies like Harmony House and dozens more that benefit from the annual Catholic Appeal. What's the status of this year's appeal so far?
Well, we're wrapping up the 60th anniversary of the annual Catholic Appeal, and we say thank you to the 15,153 generous donors who've already contributed $2.3 million. It's an impressive sum, but to be honest, we fell short of our 2018 goal. So as a result, we were forced to trim some of the grants that we awarded to our agencies and the ministries that benefit from the annual Catholic Appeal.
So there still is time for folks who have not already done so to donate?
Absolutely. You can send a check to the Annual Catholic Appeal, Diocese of Springfield, P.O. Box 9, East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, 01028-0009, or you could go online to diospringfield/ACA and donate online, or you could call my office, 413-452-0670, and I'll help you out.
Tell us about the agencies that receive funding.
Well, 27 external grants were awarded this year, and they're spread across the 4 counties of Western Massachusetts. And among them are food pantries. For example, food pantries in Adams and Holyoke and Chicopee and Lee and Montague and Westfield and Springfield. And they serve thousands of families. There's also Take and Eat in 57 faith communities in Western Massachusetts with 3,000 volunteers. They deliver meals to the elderly homebound, about 3,500 a month. There's also help for abused women, for women in crisis pregnancy. There's help for educational support for children, ministries that go behind bars into our jails. There's also ministries that focus on nurturing the faith of our youth. The biggest share of the annual Catholic Appeal goes to benefit our Catholic schools and the students in our Catholic schools, where enrollment is increasing. And that's vital because many of our priests and religious graduated from our Catholic schools. So an increased enrollment means a brighter future for our Catholic Church.
And what's in store for the new year as we look forward to a very special anniversary in the diocese?
That's right. In 2020, we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the establishment of the Diocese of Springfield. Bishop Rosansky met with a group of priests to try to form a better annual Catholic appeal. The number one thing is that it will be a shorter period of time of active fundraising. We will launch on Ash Wednesday, and then we'll wrap up on Divine Mercy Sunday, which is the Sunday after Easter. It will also be very parish-centered, and that will benefit our parishes.
All right, Kathy Harrington, thanks so much. And again, if you would like to donate to the annual Catholic Appeal, we appreciate any gift. Your gift helps so many programs and ministries in the Diocese of Springfield, including Reel to Reel and the Chalice of Salvation weekly televised Mass. We have a link where you can make your safe and secure donation at diospringfield.org. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Mark Giza with the latest on the big screen. And a familiar face to all here on Reel to Reel, Peggy Weber has a new book out telling us all how to appreciate the gift of you. These stories and more are all still to come on Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy day and join us Sunday morning. We welcome Father Ryan Rooney, pastor of Our Lady of Sacred Heart Parish, as our Mass presider, and celebrate the third Sunday of Advent. The Chalice of Salvation, Sunday mornings at 10, right here on 22 News, and coming up next on Fox 23, WXXA.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily Mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Travel with Catholic Communications in August 2020 for the pilgrimage of the decade as we experience the Oberammergau Passion Play. Join Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky and Father Gary Daly for the spiritual journey to Germany and the village of Oberammergau. Since 1634, this famous play has been performed every 10 years in this quaint alpine village. Our 10-day pilgrimage will begin in Brussels, Belgium, and continue through Cologne, Heidelberg, Oberammergau, and Munich, Germany. With daily breakfast and dinners included, pilgrims will enjoy daily Mass in many of Germany's brilliant cathedrals and churches, a cruise on the Rhine River, a tour of Cologne's cathedral treasury containing the staff of St. Peter, and a visit to Munich's famous Glockenspiel. Book this incredible opportunity now for $5,439. For more information, go to iobserve.org.
Some sad news to report today. Daniel Kennedy Sr., author of 247 Days, died December 4th after a brief illness. He was featured on Reel to Reel in 2016 as he discussed the book he wrote about his son, Father Dan Kennedy, who had passed away suddenly at the age of 34 after only serving 247 days as a priest. Kennedy had recently published a second book about his late wife, Alice, titled A Mother's Love is a Blessing. He is survived by 3 daughters and a son, as well as a sister. Our prayers go out to his family.
At a time of year when daylight hours are waning and the winter chill is settling in, Christians can find warmth and brightness in the anticipation of once again celebrating the birth of Jesus, our Savior. And as our observance of the days of Advent and Christmas leads us to a new year, we also reflect upon the accomplishments of the last 12 months and our hopes for the seasons to come. In a similar way, the upcoming 150th anniversary of the Springfield Diocese calls us to contemplate the Catholics who came before us, the achievements and challenges of the last century and a half, and the hope that will strengthen the Church for the future. In the cover story of the December issue of the Catholic Mirror, Bishop Mitchell Rosansky shares his insights on diocesan history, what we have learned, and the ongoing role of the Church in the 21st century. Our Year for Vocations series features the final vows of Sister of St. Joseph Melinda Pellerin, 2 Golden Jubilarians, and newly ordained Deacon Osvaldo Mendez. Local news highlights include details of the March 2020 Catholic Life Conference and a newly published book by former Catholic Communications reporter Peggy Weber. Part 4 of the Diocesan History series focuses on the post-war years, the Second Vatican Council, and a building boom. Our inspiring parish angel, 85-year-old Anne Gagnon, tells us how she keeps the fire of faith burning through prayer and volunteerism. And Bishop Rosansky explains how Pope Francis made the New England bishops feel like family during their ad limina visit to the Vatican. As we enter into this Christmas season, may we be accompanied by those early Catholics whose faith and perseverance remind us to cherish the gift of God's Son and the chance to share it with those most in need of the message of salvation. At the editor's desk, I'm Rebecca Drake.
Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are perfect in Marriage Story. Tom Hanks proves again why he's America's favorite actor. And the wonderful Mark Ruffalo dominates the film Dark Waters. Let's take a look at this week's Real Culture.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Is there anything Tom Hanks cannot do? In this sweet little film, Hanks plays TV legend Fred Rogers, and yes, he is perfect. The story follows a young writer who is given the job to interview Rogers. But in the meantime, this young writer learns more about himself than Rogers. The film teaches us a lesson. We all must forgive and move on. Hanks is perfect in this role, and in the end, this simple little film makes us all stop and think. Life must go on, so never give up hope. The movie is rated PG.
I think the best thing we can do is to let people know that each one of them is precious.
Dark Waters. Mark Ruffalo is the reason to see this film. Not to say it's a bad film, it's not. But Ruffalo's performance makes you take notice. The story follows an attorney played by Ruffalo who takes on the chemical company DuPont and exposes a deadly history of industrial pollution. At times it's a tough film to watch. The actors perform with their whole hearts, which makes it all so real. If you like a film that is gritty and dark and powerful, this film is waiting for you. It's rated PG-13.
They have all the money, all the firepower, and they'll use it. I know. I was one of them. Our government is captive to DuPont. They're trying to force you to make me stop.
With you, my Marriage Story. This film is a devastating look at a marriage falling apart. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are the couple in question. These fine actors take us on a trip of love, hate, and tears. And most of all, what can happen if you lose trust in your partner? Driver is the real winner here. He is so natural. We never feel like he is acting. It just seems to be happening to a friend, and we watch this friend come apart. Marriage Story is not for everyone, but it is really a good slap in the face about the horror of divorce. You can find this movie in select theaters and also streaming on Netflix. It's rated R for language.
I thought we should talk.
Okay. I don't know how to start.
And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews, provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. The National Board of Review has just picked The Irishman as the best film of 2019. A very good choice. And also for families, Frozen 2 is out there. And to tell you the truth, it's better than the first. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture. Have a fabulous weekend.
butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I didn't care what they grew up to be, as long as they were happy. To give up marriage and children just seems like too much to walk away from.
He seems to think he's making a real difference in people's lives, and he's so happy. Isn't that what's most important?
I never would have imagined our son as a Catholic priest.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
And finally today, you should recognize the person in our next story. Peggy Weber was a longtime Catholic communications reporter and columnist. She finds her retirement very busy with family, especially spending time with her grandchildren. But her love for writing and sharing her faith journey continues. Nick Morganelli spent some time with her and has more now on Peggy's new book, Enough as You Are.
I like learning from people, and I just like people. My daughter says, Mom, nobody talks on Amtrak. How did you come out of the train with these stories? I go, I don't know, people just tell me this.
You may recognize Peggy Weber as one of our own from Catholic Communications in years past. She has had a talent for journalism and writing all her life.
I've loved to write since I was a little girl. I've kept a journal since like 7th grade. I can remember when I was young, when my parents gave me, senior year in high school, an electric typewriter, which was great because my fingers used to slip through the regular typewriter.
And now people are talking about her newest book released this month.
The book was great. It made me laugh, it made me cry. I really wish that I had had this book maybe 20 or 30 years ago, because I think it's a great book for anybody at any age, but especially young people. They need to know, especially in today in our society, that they are enough.
Enough as You Are, a simple title for the latest work from the author. And that title, it's enough as well. The idea for the book was God-inspired.
Ta-da! Okay. Tonight, as I say in the introduction of my book, I'm sitting in church on Good Friday, realizing that everyone's saying, the Lord died for us, the Lord loves us. And there's a tiny little bit of me that said, even me? Because there's always a part of us that doesn't feel like we're enough.
Last week, a few dozen people attended a reception at St. Elizabeth's in Ludlow. Peggy gave a short talk and used gift bags with an item inside as a visual that related to the chapters in her book.
And it talks about ideas like being holy enough and quiet enough and impressive enough and smart enough and all the things and good enough. And each chapter includes a saintly story about a saint who represents that character that I'm trying to project in the book.
She lived the book, okay? And there's no question in my mind. She lived the book, and that's why I want to read it. And that's why the book is going to mean so much to everybody. I really think this is terrific.
I call my book a big hug to everybody who reads it. And that sounds overly simplistic, but it is. It's just sort of like a reassurance. But I know that people have to come to an acceptance or an understanding of the love of God, and that makes all the difference as they approach their life.
My mom's book, Enough as You Are, is a really wonderful example of someone being really honest about their own struggles, their own spirituality, and a good place that you can get to when you allow yourself to feel loved by God and to be, or try to be, an example of that love for others in the world. I understand, as an adult, as a mom, how hard it is to feel like you're doing enough for everybody in your world. She writes about them and uses her own personal life and her examples to, I think, help people relate to these same struggles that we all go through.
Having a little fun on the swings with Cordelia, one of Peggy's grandchildren, and I'm learning why she is so inspired to spend more time with them.
We played games. I ate food. I like it when I snuggle with her.
I actually have played a lot of head, shoulders, knees, and toes and sung many songs at libraries. And I'm completely content baking, hanging out with my grandchildren. But I also am blessed that I love to write. I've retired 3 years, and since that time I went from 3 grandchildren, we now have 7 beautiful grandchildren. And I am overjoyed with all of them. There's Cordelia, then comes Killian in New Jersey, then Jerome, then my little Rose down in Virginia, then the twins, as we call them, they're born the same day, Dominic and Bridget, and then finally our James Henry, who was born in January. And I just love them all.
And her daughter Carrie will deliver another grandchild in the spring.
How high can I go? You can go one more.
The kids adore her. Literally, my son will literally start cheering, just pumping his fist in the air, Grandma, Grandma, Grandma. So, I mean, when you get that kind of reception, I think, helps her feel like she's hopefully doing enough as a grandma, and she's doing more than enough.
They bring us so much joy. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to just spend some time with them. Just did like a lot of nothing together, and it's just, I think that's what matters the most, is just, you know, savoring the moments that you have with your family or with your loved ones or with anyone, and just appreciating it, just as you are, just enough, and just loving these children the way they are. You know, I do like, you know, special trips with the kids or doing fun things, but just snuggling or reading, or that's why the chapter Quiet Enough is very interesting, because we used to have to be quiet for an hour, and it was such a challenge for me.
If you haven't heard enough from this story, Peggy will begin signing books with a speaking tour locally in Longmeadow, South Hadley, and Springfield. I just love sharing and talking about the message of this book, and I just also love talking about how much I love God and how much we all should love each other. Learning to be enough of a kid at heart from a special author and grandmother in Longmeadow. For Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
And we know Peggy is definitely enjoying her days with her grandchildren. If you would like a copy of Enough as You Are, we have a link at iobserve.org. And as we close out our program today, a reminder that you can tune in right here on WWLP TV 22 on Christmas morning for a very special Chalice of Salvation Mass celebrated by Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky in St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield. Tune in on Christmas morning at the special time of 11 a.m. That's 11 a.m. Christmas morning. And our special thanks to all who have so generously responded to our Christmas appeal. You can make your gift directly online at iobserve.org. And for this week, that's Real to Real. Thanks so much for watching today. Remember, for more updates anytime, you can find information and news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, on our news and information site, iobserve.org. We are also on Facebook, updating daily while our reporters work on stories for Real to Real. So check us out and friend us at Catholic Communications. We will see you next week for a special Christmas edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you from the Springfield Museum. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.